quick tips for as you're prototyping your tables, charts, and maps. So I'll show you some useful commands in JupyterLab shortcuts. Give some overview of when you write your code, how you should structure it, and we'll go through some basic commands when you're making your tables, charts, and maps. Okay, so you can find this example in our cross-compute tutorials. Report automation. Okay, so Shift Enter to, so this is the JupyterLab interface as of this version. And you can see your files here that you've uploaded, and you have your Jupyter notebook with the extension IPNB. This button here is our extension for the report automation, which I'll show in another video. Okay, so quick primer to JupyterLab. You have your code, you enter in these cells, and you can also have Markdown to write some text as you're prototyping your code. So Shift Enter to run it, Control Enter to run the cell and stay within the same cell. Alt Enter to run it and move to another cell. Use the Tab button to autocomplete some parts. You can then use Shift Tab for quick tips. Another command I like to use a lot is the split cell. So as a general code quality advice, you want your code to fit within one screen. So once your code box starts getting pretty big, you want to split it up or split it into different smaller functions. So we just split this big cell into smaller cells using Control Shift minus. And then you can merge it again, Escape, Shift, select both these, Shift M, and it's merged. So there's two modes. There's your coding mode, once you entered into the cell, and escape to go back into command mode when you can quickly use the arrow keys to go up and down. Other common commands that have been here since Jupyter Notebook is the question mark to see the documentation, just like in Shift Tab, or double question mark to see the actual source code for that function. So you can see here the actual source code for that function. Another useful thing, whos, to look at your variables in your current namespace. So that was a quick primer to JupyterLab. As you're writing the code, especially when you're writing functions, you want to write your tests first. So when we actually write it, we say, I need a function that, given two numbers, turns a sum, and we make a very specific test for it. And then we write the code to pass the test after we write the pseudocode first. So write tests, write pseudocode, then write the code to pass the tests. Sticking to this will dramatically reduce the amount of time you're spending in the code phase. So some quick overviews of tables. If you're using pandas, so using the standard NumPy syntax, you can do select the first three rows of a CSV that you read. You want to read an Excel sheet, you can specify the sheet name, get a specific value, look at the columns, group by a certain column, and accumulate it using count. So what this is saying is, in our table, we grouped the rows by name, and there's 2 instances of, for example, Elizabeth, and 2 examples of Mary. You can also define new functions, new columns, using formulas based on other columns. And you can select those columns that, for example, has experience, is true, or you can have it the age is less than 30, greater than 70, for example. Here we show a quick example of how to use a function to define the value of a column. So we have group A, group B, group C of level of experience of that person, which we define using the apply function along rows. And finally, save the table using toCSV. So just quick primer, you can definitely work through the pandas tutorial for more. When you're prototyping your charts, take something you like from the gallery, copy it, and paste it. Let's see what happened. Oh wait, that wasn't it. I think I might need to add a so you can see how the chart looks. And split it to examine what part each one does. So simple, very basic stuff. When you're making maps, the way you can do it, one way to do it, you can make maps as an image. Another way to do it is you could specify a geojson. So geojson parts, you have point, line, string, and polygon. And when you save it, you can add properties to it if you want to add properties to your interactive map in the report. And finally save it. So these are just very, very quick browse through of basic issues. If you get our training and support for the automation, you can ask more specific questions.